This is a Saturday morning TV log from Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Welcome to another Saturday morning TV log, and this time around it's Monster Squad, brought to us by D'Angelo Bullock Allen Productions. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Dual, the Big D to you, and this is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So this week's Saturday morning TV log is on a very underrated and a very rare gem of a Saturday morning show of the 70s, Monster Squad. Yes, before the 1987 film, which was much more different than this, there was an actual TV show. And, well, I'm going to tell you, NBC had several lost gems from this year and what have you, but only a couple of these have been found. This and another show called Big John, Little John, but if I happen to watch it, I'll save that for a future Saturday morning TV log. But anyway, back to Monster Squad. This, of course, was a live action series which was created by Stanley Ralph Ross, who recently wrote several episodes of the Batman TV series with Adam West back in the 60s. And of course, he'd later go on to do several other things, as well as develop the Wonder Woman series, which debuted the same year in 1976. The show originally premiered on NBC in September of 1976, September 11th, and ran for only one season, though. Now and it had though despite it has some pretty familiar names and what have you, but still it's pretty cool though. Now, well, it's not gonna be easy to explain, but I might as well tell you. The series starts out with a criminology student named Walt who works as a night watchman at Fred's Wax Museum. To pass the time, he built a prototype crime computer hidden in a large stone sarcophagus near an exhibit of legendary monsters. When Walt plugged in his computer, oscillating vibrations brought to life the wax statues of Dracula, the Wolf Man, and the Frankenstein monster. The monsters, wanting to make up for the misdeeds of their past, became superhero crime fighters who used their unique abilities to challenge and defeat various supervillains. And they actually wore kind of like special types of utility belts. Not quite as like, well, what we saw on Batman, though, but still. Yeah. Anyway, in most episodes, Walt would send the monsters out to investigate crimes and fight the villains while monitoring the activities from the Wax Museum via the crime computer, presumably because his job required him to be at the Wax Museum at all times. However, Walt would sometimes join the climactic battle with his comrades in some episodes and come to the rescue when needed. Though the squad are supposed to be wax statues, it often appears that they are something else entirely, as they apparently have all the memories of the monsters they are based on, as well as their powers. The gentle giant Frank, for example, possessed superhuman strength and could smash through walls, while the dapper, cloak-clad, and fearsome thing the Drac could turn into a bat. And the short and furry werewolf, whose name was Bruce W. Wolf, was a ferocious fighter who could climb up the sheer sides of buildings Spider-Man style and had a super sensitive sense of smell. The squad had their own customized black monster van, which was pretty cool. And each monster had a utility belt, as I mentioned, with a communicator device used to keep in touch with Walt, who had apparently created them for the monsters to use. Their CB style code names were Chamber of Horrors, which was for Walt, Night Flyer for Drac, Green Machine for Frank, and Furball for Bruce. Now, in several episodes, a statue of the Invisible Man can be seen in a clove on the opposite side of the monster's exhibit. It is never explained why this statue remains unaffected by the crime computer's oscillating vibrations. Anyway, aside from, well, the creator working on the Batman series, the villains were often exaggerated as exaggerated camp supervillains, much like the ones on Batman, in keeping with the superhero tone of the show, and were often played by familiar face guest stars of the time. which I'll get to in just a second. After an overall total of 13 episodes were produced and aired over its one season, the show ended on December 4th, 1976, but however, it continued in reruns until September 3rd of the following year. Now then, for our cast, we have playing Dracula is Henry Pollock II, who, of course, would be a well known voice actor at the time, and later would go on to play Jerry Silver on TV's Webster in the 80s. The Wolfman, Bruce W. Wolf, is played by Buck Kartalian, who actually did appear on the Batman TV series. He was actually one of Catwoman's henchmen in the episode Half the Grill, which actually then its follow-up episode, The Cat and the Fiddle, are two of my favorite episodes, as a matter of fact. And the W in his name stood for Where. The Frankenstein monster, credited as Frank N. Letter N. Stein, is played by Michael Lane, who actually, this wasn't, according to a source I just found out, this wasn't the first time he actually played a Frankenstein monster. He's played a Frankenstein monster a few times. He recently played a Frankenstein monster in an episode of the Monkees TV series, and was also the monster in the 1950s movie Frankenstein 1970. Now, the playing Walt was Fred Grandy, who the following year would go on to play, well, Gopher on TV's The Love Boat. Yes, and of course, he would later go on to become a member of the U.S. House of Representatives from the state of Iowa. And most recently, the host of the Grandy Group, which was a morning drive time radio talk show on a Washington, D.C. radio station. Which I thought that was pretty cool. Now, they did have some recurring characters, including Mayor Goldwyn, played by Edward Andrews, who appeared in a couple of episodes. Andrews, I do remember seeing him in as the guy who, well, the bank president in Now You See Him, Now You Don't, the second installment of Disney's Dexter Riley trilogy, which I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And of course, also appeared in a couple of episodes of The Twilight Zone. Then there's Officer Mac, played by two different people, Paul Smith and Richard X. Slattery. Now let's see. We also had some other special appearances, including the creator of the series, Stanley Ralph Ross, the late great Sid Haig, who actually also appeared on the Batman TV series. The same year, he also appeared in an episode of Electra Woman and Dyna Girl on the Croft Super Show, and he also would go on to play the villainous Thanos on JSO's Star Command. There was even Johnny Brown, well known for his work on Good Times, and was also recently on Rowan Martin's Laugh-In. And Frank Caddy, who you may remember best as Sam Drucker from Petticoat Junction and Green Acres. Now, villains, they were played by mostly a lot of well-known stars. Amongst some of them included Alice Ghostly, who you mostly would know best as Esmeralda from the final seasons of Bewitched. She played Queen Bee, which was actually the very first episode. Let's see now. I'm just trying to get my sources. Sorry about that. The Astrologer, played by Jonathan Harris, who played Dr. Smith on Lost in Space. And actually, the same year, he also appeared in a couple episodes of Filmation's series Arc 2, and he would later go on to play Commander Isaac Ampu the following year on Space Academy. And the villain, was the astrologer, as I already said. There's also the Ultra Witch, who was played by none other than the original Catwoman herself, Julie Newmar. The Wizard, who's played by Arthur Mallet, who most of you might remember him as the cemetery caretaker from John Carpenter's Halloween. Jeffrey Lewis, who has done numerous work for various actors like Clint Eastwood and Robert Redford. He often portrayed villains and quirky characters. He played the villain known as the Skull. Next up would be, then we have Avery Schreiber, who you know from numerous films and movies, especially one of the worst, a show that is considered to be one of the worst sitcoms of all time. My Mother the Car played the Weatherman. And finally, we have the the have and have character of Albert Alberta, played by V.O. Sky, who recently appeared in numerous episodes of The Addams Family, and he also appeared in several movies as well. And the following year, he actually would play the character of Mikey in the Addams Family Halloween special, which NBC aired the following year. Yeah, I don't mean to sound like a broken record by saying the following year, but after I already said it. But anyway, even so, I think this is really cool. I never thought I actually like it. It's fun. Like it didn't get me good laughs, but this does have a bit of a laugh track though. Still, I have to give this show credit for what it had to offer. Anyway, the Monster Squad is definitely a very fun show, and it's got great characters in my view. Let me give you a little bit of a few shots of some of the characters. Here's a shot of the whole group. Here we see Frank at the top, and there's Drag, and there's Bruce, and then Fred with a thumbs up. Now, let me give you a better look. If you see closely, you can see Frank has the bolts at the top of his head, not on the sides of his neck. Now, the reason why the monsters look much more different is because the studio didn't want to get into trouble with Universal Pictures to make them look like they're actual movie monsters from long ago. But hey, that's understandable and what have you. And I'm glad they did what they thought was right. Now then, let me give you a look at some of the villains. Here's a shot of Alice Ghostly and a couple of her colleagues, well, henchmen, that is, in the first episode, Queen Bee. Here's a shot of Avery Schreiber as the Weatherman. Here's Julie Newmar as Ultra Witch. And here's Arthur Mallet as the Wizard. Here's Jonathan Harris as the Astrologer. And here's V.O. Sky as Albert Alberta. Yeah, so now you see that there were pretty big names for the players of the villains. I know it's a shame this didn't last long. I wish it could have had another run of episodes. But at least Monster Squad is one of those few rare gems from NBC's 1976 and 1977 lineup that's still actually available. The full series is on physical media. I'm not really sure how much you can get for it, but it is available. But if you can't find it for a good price, no problem. The full series is currently available on YouTube. It's also available to stream on Tubi and Con TV as well. So now you know about Monster Squad. Is this a show worth looking into? I'd say yeah, go for it. I mean, this kind of feels like a precursor to Hanna-Barbera's monster series from 1980, Drak Pack. But anyway, Monster Squad, give it a watch. I think you might enjoy it. If you like the Batman TV series, and I think you'll enjoy this as well, because it's a real spook-tacular, fun-filled superhero type show. Mm-hmm. So, what did you think of Monster Squad? Did you ever watch this show? If so, let me know in the comments section below. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel. Make it grow, make the views grow. Tell all your friends about my channel. Share my vids with your friends if you wish. Maybe they can join my Big D Nation. And later tonight, I'll be giving to you a review of Puppet Master for its anniversary. So if you like this, consider checking out these other videos. In the upper left hand corner is the Saturday Morning TV log I did for Drag Pack, a show I just talked about with a similar feel to this. In the upper right hand corner is my Saturday Morning TV log on, well, kind of another take of the character of Frankenstein, but in a real robotic superhero form, in Frankenstein Jr. and the Impossibles. Or you can check out my previous vid, which is the Saturday Morning TV log revisited on Scooby-Doo Where Are You, which is done much better than my original Saturday Morning TV log of it. Then, or else you can go to the right hand corner and click on the button to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the Saturday Morning TV log, then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Next week will be another Saturday Morning TV log revisit. It's going to be the real Ghostbusters. Okay? Just so I let you know that. So until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.